Welcome back, everybody. This is your three-man booth. I'm Dan Salem, Phil and Bud, the View from Section 323 podcast. I'm going to get it right one of these days. How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
It's good to finally have Bud back.
Yes, it is. Welcome back.
Busy guys. Rich people got to eat.
So before we dive into fantasy, are you guys keeping your Section 323 seats this year? I have to ask.
Those are Phil's, not mine.
They're mine.
So,
I have those forever.
Okay. Very cool. So
I literally own those seats. They're mine.
So we must do the show from Section 323 sometime. It just has to happen.
Well, if you can get out here on November 10th, we can all go to the Jets-Giants game. So make it happen.
All right. I'll mark it down. The big
Jets home game, though. So Phil has Giants season tickets. So
that's true. We won't be in that section for that
one.
Phil
will be in the bathroom.
Yeah, probably.
You drank too much during the tailgate.
That's possible.
Probably.
All right, so we're going to talk fantasy football this week's show, and we got our do not draft list. So each of us sent in two players' names, and obviously we feel a little bit strongly about the guys we named. So I'm going to name all six, and then I don't know if you two want to start with the two you picked, and then I'll dive into mine, and we can kind of argue back and forth. But they're all pretty good do not draft. Sorry, so we got from Bud, Le'Veon Bell, now of the New York Jets, and Mike Evans of the Buccaneers.
What a surprise pick.
Yeah, right. Wait, let me list all the names, then we'll get that. Phil, you threw out Carson Wentz of the Eagles and Antonio Brown now of the Raiders. And then I offered up Aaron Rodgers of the Packers and Melvin Gordon, most likely of the Chargers. Okay. Well,
most likely of the Chargers?
He's demanding a trade if he doesn't get a new contract. So we'll see what happens. That's kind of why he's a red flag to me, among other things. Do we want to start there? I don't know. Should we start with the easier ones?
I will say that it was tough for me because I didn't want to feel like I was too homer-ish picking a Jet, but at the same time I was going to pick Antonio Brown, but I went back and forth between him and Mike Evans. So the only reason why I picked Mike Evans is because he has arguably the most inconsistent quarterback in the league, right? Can we agree on that? Like, you have no idea what you're going to get from Jameis Winston week to week. And last year, when he was putting up his main numbers, Jameis Winston wasn't the quarterback. Ryan Fitzpatrick was the quarterback.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Right.
My brother quoted some really, really solid Jameis Winston stats, or I read them. Maybe it was I read them recently. I think it was for my brother, and I was shocked, because you can make numbers say whatever you want. He actually didn't look terrible, and Bruce Arians is known for being quarterback, but I do agree with you. I think that the Buccaneers are a red flag as a team, so Mike Evans is a tough sell.
Nothing to me says Tampa Bay's offense is going to be lights out. And if he's their number one threat, right, who's their running back? Exactly. You don't even know.
I don't.
So if they have no running game, they're going to rely on Mike Evans the whole way. So, I mean, they're going to double team him. Jameis Winston's going to get injured by week 4. He always does. He never plays a 16-week year. And I just feel like, he's a top 10 receiver, but at the same time, he's totally inconsistent with who's throwing the football. So,
I'll toss my question over to Phil to see if he agrees with you, because it doesn't really matter if the team's good or the quarterback's good as long as the receiver gets his numbers. Now, that's obviously more challenging with the inconsistent quarterback. But Phil, are you targeting Mike Evans, or you got him on the avoid list?
I'll probably never have a shot at him, just where I'm going to probably be in the draft order, because I'll probably be towards the end, being as how I won last year. So I'm going to be 6, 7, 8. I shouldn't say 6. I'll be like 7, 8, or 9.
You don't do a random.
We can pick we can pick our draft order, so everyone has the opportunity to pick what spot they want. I'll have last choice, so I'll get whatever's left. So I probably won't have any shot at Mike Evans.
I see.
And even if I did, I probably would pass over him.
No way he goes in the first round.
No
So
way.
You absolutely have a shot at him.
I don't have a shot at him because I don't want him.
Okay, there you go. So I'm like, there's no way he's a first round pick.
Oh, that's what you're getting at. Yeah, no, all right. You got me on that one. I probably won't be targeting him. I'm more in the line of, think of it this way. I'll be picking pretty early in the second round. So you're going to have your Julios and your Devontae Adams and your Who else is there? Oh, Antonio Brown's going to fall to the second. Oh, Beckham's going to fall to the second. So there's going to be a lot better choices than Mike Evans.
Well, let's use that as a segue. Do you like Brown as a second-round pick, even though you put him on your do not draft list?
So as I thought about this, there's a lot of other players I think I want to substitute out of Antonio Brown. The only reason I thought of him quickly is because he's on a new team with a worse quarterback and a worse offensive line than he was in Pittsburgh. So naturally, there's going to be some regression. Yeah. If I was really going to sub him out, and I thought about this today, Joe Mixon has to absolutely be on your do not draft list. Absolutely. They lost their number 1 draft pick. I think he was a left tackle. AJ Green obviously is hurt. Carson Palmer again can't play a full season.
Carson Palmer hasn't played for the Bengals in a decade.
That's Andy Dalton. I'm sorry. Carson Palmer used to be on the Bengals.
What are you doing?
So
Carson Palmer isn't playing football anymore.
In defense of Andy Dalton, if they could block for him, he might actually put something together again.
Yes, but so that's what I'm getting at. The line is just deteriorating. So Joe Mixon he's going to have nowhere to run. He's going to be facing 8-man boxes all the time because no one's going to be on the receivers. I want to substitute Joe Mixon for Antonio Brown.
I have a different view of Brown, but do you like him? Do you hate him this season?
No, because like I said, I debated back and forth between him and Mike Evans, and I just don't think.
I still think he's going to get his numbers.
A lot to prove with John Gruden, and John Gruden has already not said, but you can kind of read between the lines that if he doesn't do a good job this year, that he's going to be gone. So you're going from Ben Roethlisberger, who's a Hall of Famer, to Derek Carr, who has had one good year and been very inconsistent every other year after that. They have no running game. Their offensive line is shoddy. They're going to double team him. He's the only weapon other than Derek Carr. I don't know how he puts up the numbers. I mean, he's going to be.
Well, this is how, and this is
never going to hit the numbers that he was with Ben.
No, and he's not he's not the number 1 wide receiver anymore for sure. Like I have him we play keeper league, auction league, so I have him I can keep him if I want, but his price is way too high from last season because, the average draft price of Yahoo dropped like $20 on him from 50 to 30, something like that, because he's got a new team. I think that Derek Carr is good. He's a real big sleeper pick for me this year because he's playing for his career. He's playing for his next contract with a different team. I don't know if Gruden actually wants to keep him, but he's got one of the best wide receivers in the game to work with. Now, I'm not sure that they can block for him, but he used to scramble around. His best season was better than Ben Roethlisberger's best season. Now, he didn't have many of them, but he did have one that was better.
Ben's got 2 rings, though.
Yeah. And then Ben's excellent. He had a very good year last year. Don't get me wrong. But if Antonio Brown is the only player on the Raiders offense that can actually do anything, he's going to get the touchdowns and they're going to score. Like, it's not like they're going to get shut out every game. So I like him as maybe my second wide receiver if I can't. I don't want him as my first guy to rely on, but he's kind of in the same group of. I have Calvin Ridley. I like Ridley, and I kind of think he's in the same ballpark. You don't necessarily know how great they're going to be, but I still think they're going to be both pretty good. So I'm not scared of Brown.
I would agree with you as a wide receiver too, but I still don't think that you're going to see the numbers that last year he had 1,300 yards receiving and 9 touchdowns. He's not going to get that. He's not going to get that.
Probably not. No, they play Arizona twice, and San Francisco and Seattle are not anything great. But no, I agree. I don't think he's going to be quite there. But the thing is, we never quite know which wide receivers are. You can kind of bank on a few guys, right? But I've learned that I generally pick up 2 of my best wide receivers after week 1 and 2 because they put up huge games and no one expected them. So,
so your auction this year is going to be real interesting. People like Brown and Beckham, who last year were going for $50, $60, are now going to be, like you said, deeply discounted.
Well,
so you can't keep him for that price.
The problem with the auction and why it's so much fun is that people tend to overspend real easily, and so and
it's name value too.
And if you want a player,
name value.
Like Philip Rivers was valued at $10 last season, and I had to spend $25 to get him. He was definitely worth it. I'm not going to keep him because he's not worth keeping at that price. Maybe I can draft him for less. But when everyone's kept 4 players, you've already got 40 of the best players out of the pool of talent to choose from. So everyone, like, it's Antonio Brown drops the first pick, he'll go cheap. If he drops the third pick, I guarantee you he might get close to $50 just because people are like, oh, it's Antonio Brown.
No, right, but you don't want to pay that price for him though.
No, I mean I'll bid him up, but I don't want to pay that. I'd rather get Mike Evans for 20.
I love the auction strategy. I love the psychology around it. We can't, time zones and whatnot. We just can't. Plus, we don't have enough time to do an auction. But anyway.
Yeah, I mean it's a 2-3 hour thing.
I love the psychology with the auction drafts. Love it.
Yeah, we're doing ours on Labor Day, so it'll start 5 Eastern, which isn't bad. And it's about 2 to 3 hours.
Your draft pretty late.
Well, because I'm on the West Coast, so we try to split the difference. Usually it was 8 o'clock at night for me, so it was 5 o'clock Pacific. I think I might be the only one on the West Coast. I'm not sure, but it's fun. It's long, but it's fun. So who's next? We hit Brown and Evans. Did we have any other wide receivers on there? I didn't pick a wide receiver intentionally because you guys did. Let's do quarterbacks. So I'm scared of Aaron Rodgers, and I think he's overvalued, so I'm going to avoid him. Now, it doesn't mean he's not going to have a good season with a brand new coach, and I mean, he just wasn't. He's been so injury prone, and he did okay last year, but he's not Aaron Rodgers like we think of Aaron Rodgers. So I'm going to avoid him because I think everyone will be overspending on him. Like, he's not the number one quarterback. He's not even top 5 for me. So I don't know. Thoughts?
Well, I mean, he has Devontae Adams, but he has no running game, and
that's not true. I don't agree with that.
He has no what?
They're rookie.
Aaron Jones is a monster.
Great. Yeah.
Who?
Aaron Jones is a monster. They just didn't give him the ball last year.
Dude, let me tell you something. Let me fill you on a little secret, Phil. Okay?
I'm all in.
I went to see the Packers play the Jets, and they sucked. They were awful. Okay? Like, not awful. Like, god-awful. And if the Jets could play any goddamn defense, they would have won. All right? So don't tell me that Aaron Rodgers in the course of a year is going to have all these secret weapons that all of a sudden now he can play. If they can cover Devontae Adams in the end zone in overtime, they would have won. And in the story, I just shut it up real quick.
Any given Sunday.
But
no, wait, hold on. You said they had no running game, is what you said.
He has no weapons. It doesn't matter. You need a running game in order to play quarterback appropriately in the NFL now, because you just need it.
Yeah, I mean, he's got every motivation to prove everyone wrong because he basically got his coach fired. But his
new coach is not going to. Apparently, what I read is he's not going to allow him to audible and have like 4 or 5 different plays like Mike McCarthy did. So if from what I read is the play that's going in, that's the play that's being run. How long is that going to last?
Until he changes it in the huddle because he doesn't like it.
But what I'm saying is, how long is that going to last? It's going to fall. That's going to fall real quick with the new coach. I mean, yeah, he's Aaron Rodgers, but at the same time, I mean,
yeah, no, they scare the hell out of me. I pegged him as a worst to first candidate because I think they could shoot up the standings, but I wouldn't bet on it. Like,
not in the NFC North. The NFC North is loaded.
Yeah. Okay, so none of us. I mean, maybe Phil, are you targeting Rodgers, or you just don't? You're just not as down on.
No, so that whole tier of Brady and Breeze and Rodgers and Rivers, they're all falling to the Wentzes and the Goffs and obviously the Mahomes, and even, I mean, geez, we've seen nothing out of Kyler Murray, and he's maybe in the top 5 of people that are drafting right now. It's incredible. No one's seen him play a snap yet.
I gotta say to you, I had Phillip Rivers last season, and he averaged 20 points a week. Like,
let me tell you something.
I had Phillip Rivers too. He was awesome.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray might be good in a game here, a game there. I won't touch him.
Arizona's going to be awful this year. Did you see their schedule?
Exactly. That's my point.
Hard.
That's my point. Their offensive line is awful. They have an aging David Johnson, an aging Larry Fitzgerald. They got nothing.
Yeah, and I'm not a big David Johnson fan either. I almost threw him on this list.
You could have for all the reasons you just outlined.
Well, Kyler Murray. So there was.
It'll be fun to watch.
One of the ESPN fantasy articles. Was it Matthew Berry? I forget. He does the player A versus player B, and he basically the moral of the story. It was the same player. One had great numbers, one had bad numbers, and it was what's his face, Josh Allen in Buffalo, who was absolutely terrible, but then ran all over the field the last month of the season and put up great fantasy numbers for a burst.
That's Josh Allen was the leading rusher for Buffalo last year.
I do.
That's insane.
Yeah, and it's not sustainable.
No.
Wasn't that Lamar Jackson too last year too?
Well, no.
I think it was.
The Ravens had a good running game. I had a couple. Alex Collins, he was decent for them.
I had Alex Collins too until the last 2 weeks where he did nothing.
Right, and now he's suspended and not on the team. So.
Now you don't have to worry about him anymore.
Okay. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not. I would throw Murray on the do not draft list, except he's a rookie, so that should just be an immediate red flag for everybody to begin with.
But you wouldn't know that listening to all the love he's getting all over the place.
Well, speaking of, so he's a rookie, and I'm gonna throw in a second-year quarterback here. I was intrigued by Sam Darnold because I feel like he should improve, but then I read this Adam Gase stat where Adam Gase throws to running backs with his offense like the least of anybody, like of any.
That's gonna change this year with Le'Veon Bell.
I would think so. But he has such a track record of not throwing to the running back, even when he has one. When he had Matt Forte in Chicago, the year before, Forte had like twice as many catches out of the backfield as the year that Gase came in. So and Forte was great. So I was like, oh, that scares me off of the Jets offense a little bit. I don't have him on this list, but just a thought.
Well, speaking of that, so why did Bud put Le'Veon Bell on the list then?
I'll segue because he didn't play football last year. He's got an offensive line that's suspect. All right. Their offensive line is better than it was last year, but it's still not great. It's still not Pittsburgh's offensive line. He's got a second-year quarterback that we're still trying to figure out what's going on. He's got decent wide receivers. I'm just not – listen, I'm thrilled that he's on the Jets, and I think that he's going to be a huge impact player, but we're talking about fantasy. And I just don't know how his body is going to hold up the first 5-6 weeks of football when he hasn't played in a year and a half. And I just don't – I don't – listen, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. And I probably am wrong. But at the same time, if you're looking at it statistically, he's not going to get the holes that he got in Pittsburgh. He's not going to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield like he did with Ben. I mean, Dan just said that Gase's offenses aren't built around throwing the ball to the wide receiver out of the backfield. And that's where he got a lot of his yards in the past, is that he found the gaps through a good offensive line, and he was able to catch the ball in the backfield and make plays downfield. Like, I just don't – I think he'll be fine. I just don't think that he'll be what everyone's expecting. Right now they have him at running back 5. He's not going to be even close to running back 5. And if he is, the Jets are going to be 10-6, 11-5.
See, but this might be one of the few times I actually agree with you from a fantasy perspective, because I'm not sure that his workload, like if he puts up those fantasy numbers, that's not necessarily good for the Jets offense, because the Jets they need a balanced attack. And they can't just give him the ball. He's too late in his career for that to play out. If they make the playoffs and they fed him the ball all season, he's bound to get hurt before it starts. He hasn't played a full season more than once.
Well, he can't be – I mean, to just go – he can't be late in his career because they just gave him a boatload of money for a bunch of years. So,
right. Well, but he can still be good late in his career, but he's not – I mean, he might not be great. But if they want him to hold it together – they should use Trenton Cannon, who is a great pass-catching running back also. They should use Bilal
Powell now. They just re-signed him. He's great out of the backfield at catching the ball. I just don't think – I think people think Le'Veon Bell and they think big numbers and offense and touchdowns.
Yeah.
He could do that. But this is not the Steelers. This is the Jets, and we know what the New York Jets are, and that's just how I feel.
Well, and I think Darnold's good enough that they don't need to feed him the ball. Like, I don't think the Steelers had 2 backups that were worth handing the ball off to. I think the Jets can actually use a nice running back share with Bell and not overwork him. And that hurts fantasy, but it's better for the team. I think that they can win either way, depending on how they use him.
Yep. They have Ty Montgomery now out of the backfield, too, and apparently what the word out of camp is that the both of them are splitting first-team reps pretty evenly right now. So, I mean, if that's going to be the case, I mean, they're going to be like most NFL teams that are going with a 2 running back system. You're shaking your head, Phil. I mean, you know, the Jets, because the Giants have one legitimate player right now on their roster. I don't know if you know that or not, and they're going to shut him down.
I'm
scrimmage. So I mean,
I'm talking. I had also the Ty Montgomery experiment that exploded in everyone's face in Green Bay. Ty Montgomery's not a back. He's a wide receiver who.
Yeah, so we can hear him.
Am I frozen?
There we go.
Okay, I'm frozen.
Your face
Ty
was
Montgomery is a.
Oh, so we're both trying to say,
better thing.
are you back? Because I think I knew where you were going. So what he was trying to say is that Montgomery didn't go well in Green Bay.
But he didn't go well in Green Bay because he killed Aaron Rodgers, and within 48 hours he was off the team.
Yeah, I mean, I think I like the way Adam Gase runs an offense. He always did well with Miami, and I think he can. I mean, you can't discount a fresh start from some player like Montgomery or Bell. But they're both really good. Why ignore one of them? I don't know. Sorry. So you have more to say? We tried to fill in the gap there. I don't know if we can hear you or not.
Am I on here? Hello?
Yeah, there's a lot of delay.
Am I still frozen?
Yep.
All right, I'll pass for now.
Okay. So we went to Bell. Okay, I'll bring my round back to Melvin Gordon. We're doing running backs before we go back to Carson Wentz. Melvin Gordon's desire for a trade and a new contract scares the hell out of me because he has always been injury prone. And the Chargers, I mean, yes, he's made them better, but I don't think that they're going to pay him what he wants. And he seems naive enough to hold out. So I would avoid him. Now, I could say the same thing about Zeke, but he doesn't scare me quite as much.
Well, I will say that if the Chargers can't figure out what to do with Melvin Gordon, if they can't get him in the camp, most people are picking the Chargers to be a legitimate contender in the AFC. Some of them have won the Super Bowl, including this guy right here. And if they can't get that figured out, there's no way that they're gonna win.
So the last report that I heard is that the Chargers and Melvin Gordon were only about $2 million apart, which seems like peanuts in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah, they'll get there then by mid-August. That's not a big deal.
So now that I'm not frozen anymore, Zeke, if you can hear me, take as much time as you need. You deserve your money, and you hold out at least till week 2.
So what about the Alfred Morris ploy? Because that was BS. I mean, that's not going to scare him into signing.
That's like the Cowboys safety net.
Well, did you hear Jerry Jones's comments the other day?
I read them. Yeah. Please.
No.
It didn't do him any favors.
So can you paraphrase?
Well, essentially, he was saying that we have other guys, and we maybe we have other weapons on the team. We have great receivers. Basically, he was saying like, I don't know if we're going to pay him just yet. Essentially, I don't remember verbatim, but it wasn't flattering in favor of, hey, we're going to sign Zeke right now. It wasn't like he came out and said, yeah, we're going to get this done. It'll be done in time. He was almost saying the opposite, like, well, we have other players, yada yada yada.
When Zeke went on vacation, so it doesn't seem like he expects this to get done anytime soon.
No, he's in Mexico right now.
Yeah, he went to Cabo. So
if everyone remembers, way back when, what's his name? Emmitt Smith held out for 2 games, and they signed him real fast. Then they won the Super Bowl that year. I'm not saying that's going to happen here.
I didn't remember that.
Without Zeke on that team, Cowboys are going to win 6 games, maybe. I don't care how many receivers you have. I don't care about Randall Cobb. Come give me a break. Amari Cooper or whatever. You don't have Zeke on that team, you're barely going to win 6 games.
I will say this, and not to change subjects too much because I know we're talking fantasy, but the Cowboys have a legitimate concern on their hands, and it's not because of Zeke. It's because who do they sign? Because they're gonna have to sign Zeke, and they're gonna have to sign Dak. And
there's one more. There's one more player.
Who's the other one?
One of the defensive guys.
I thought that they signed him already.
If they did, I didn't hear it. They may have, but there was 3 guys that had to sign.
They're gonna have to throw a lot of money to either 2 or 3 players, and they're gonna have to make a choice on which ones they want to do.
Well, they don't have to sign Zeke till next year, technically.
But they're gonna have to unless he sits out the whole year. Do they want Le'Veon Bell again? Because listen,
no, they don't.
Without him on that team is minimal at best.
They don't have a backup running back.
Nobody. Alfred Morris is not a viable option. I don't really care what you go with. So they have to get him signed, and they have to get him in, and they have to get him going, which means that they're going to throw all of this money to him. He's going to want more than Le'Veon Bell money, and then they're going to have no money to throw to Dak unless all of a sudden they start cutting players on the defense.
I mean, it's obvious you have to keep your quarterback, not the running back, because the quarterback plays twice as long, and he's just as good.
I agree with you, but
Yeah, I know.
this team is built around Zeke, and Dak is just a component of the offense. It's very similar to what Mark Sanchez, who is now retiring on his unicorn. He, is very similar to that. They had a solid running game, and the quarterback play was mediocre.
Now, I'm not sure that's fair because I read some very favorable stats for Dak. He hasn't really had the receivers. We'll see what he does with Cooper and Witten this year. Witten can keep it together.
But the difference between Zeke and Bell is Bell only had 1 year left. Zeke technically still has 2 years left on his rookie deal. He wants his money early. So if he was going to be, team friendly, he'd say, all right, I'll get paid next year. Let Dak get his money this year, and whoever it is on defense. And when it's my time next year, I'll get paid. But he wants his money early. That's the problem.
And they could negotiate a signing bonus, right? Because the signing bonuses don't count against the cap, or they count differently.
They count differently towards the
A lot
cap.
of things you could do.
But that's why you see a lot of these guys that getting deferred money now. Especially if the teams are against the cap, they're getting like small minimal signing bonuses that don't only a percentage goes towards the cap, and then they're backloaded.
Yeah.
But in fairness, that makes it even easier for the teams to cut them later on, because then they're making more money, and then it's not guaranteed contracts. And then you see all these players getting released and cut, which is why the NFL, the Players Association, they don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if Melvin Gordon gets signed first before Zeke, and he technically becomes the richest quarterback? Then they have to outdo that contract.
Right.
So wait. How could the Chargers realistically pay Melvin Gordon that much money? He has been hurt.
No. I'm not saying they should, but I'm saying playing devil's advocate. What if they cave and like, oh well, I don't think they should, be honest with you, but
They should sign him.
Melvin. Yeah, if they sign Melvin Gordon to a huge contract, Zeke's going to want $1 more than that, so that way he can be the highest paid running back.
They should re-sign him, but that would be a stupid decision to throw that much money at Gordon.
No, I agree. I'm agreeing with you. I'm just
you're right.
Playing those scenarios out.
Well, the Cowboys are stuck between two really tough spots, and they're not going to give Zeke the money. They're not going to.
But so really the question is, does he hold out? He's only been in the league. This will be his fourth year, I think.
Yeah. He's already
obviously
suspended once. He could have been suspended again.
Right. But so I'm saying it's not like Le'Veon Bell's situation where Bell had a ton of money in the bank, so he could afford to take a year off. I don't know. I don't know Zeke's financial situation, but I can't imagine he's, comfortable enough to sit out a full year.
Le'Veon Bell also got franchised 3 times in a row, and he already made a boatload of money.
That's my point. Right.
No, I think that this is a game of chicken, because I agree. I don't think Zeke should sit out the season. I don't think it does him any favors. He's had too many off-the-field issues.
Right. So right now he's definitely a fantasy guy. Not that you're not gonna pick him in the first round. Somebody will.
Well, I have to make the decision whether or not to keep him, and I'm really torn. So
it's tough. With this kind of right now, as we sit here in late July, we have no idea.
I went through the same thing last summer, and I decided to keep him, and it was the right decision. Even it was worth it because he got suspended, but it was like a short period of time. It was worth it, but I don't know what to do now. I really don't know what to do.
So you have Brown and Zeke, huh? That's a tough.
Well, could you? And I don't know this because maybe I do, but you can't take Zeke and put him on the IR because he hasn't really been put on the IR, right?
He's not injured.
I can keep 4 players. I'm going to keep Travis Kelce. I'm going to keep Calvin Ridley because I got him for $1.
You got Travis Kelce for $1?
No. I'm keeping Kelce, and I'm going to pay a lot for it because I think he's that much better than the other tight end.
What?
And I'm going to keep Ridley because I have Ridley for $1, Calvin Ridley. And I'm going to keep Stephon Diggs over Antonio Brown because Diggs is a lot cheaper, and I think he'll be just as good.
Yeah.
So I'm deciding on I need to keep a running back, and I'll keep Zeke, but I don't feel great about it. So
I can't imagine he sits out more than a game or two. Let's say he sits out 2 games and the Cowboys go 0-2. Watch how fast they pay him.
Yeah.
Watch how fast.
And so the funny thing, I don't know who's going to be available in my league. You guys know everyone's available.
Not yet because we haven't announced who we're going to keep yet.
Oh, you do keepers. Got it.
Oh yeah,
Keeper leagues, but our keepers aren't due until what, Phil? When?
mid August.
All right, so yeah, I mean mid-August you'll know who's on the board.
Well, you both know who you're keeping then.
I know
I'll
one
tell
player
you
who I'm
right now.
keeping. I don't know who the second player I'm keeping yet. I know Phil knows who he's keeping. I'm sure he's keeping Mahomes and Barkley.
You only keep two?
Barkley and Kamara.
You're not keeping Mahomes, dude?
Two. Oh,
How do I
two
throw
players?
back Kamara?
You got to take the running backs. He's got to do it. Quarterbacks.
Oh, it's a no-brainer. I'm not even
Quarterbacks-
giving it a second thought.
Quarterbacks
I'm
are a
not
dime a
even giving
dozen. That's an easy decision.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
As good as Mahomes was last year, I mean, how does he outdo it? He threw 50 touchdowns last year.
Tariq Hill's coming back. They're not suspending him.
So here's the thing, Phil.
But I'm saying, I mean, I'm saying how much better, he maybe he'll duplicate it, but there's only natural regression coming next year.
Dude, if he throws 40 touchdowns, he'll still lead the league in touchdowns.
That's fine. I'll get another guy.
Yeah, the drop off between Phil's potential second running back and Kamara or Mahomes and his first quarterback is not even.
Oh, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
It's a no-brainer.
you're gonna really argue with the guy that won the league? All right, so hold on. We got 5 minutes left. So let's talk about. You don't like Carson Wentz. The injury?
So, listen, Carson Wentz could be an MVP again, and there's, before he got hurt the first time, he probably would have won it. The only reason I'm questioning him is just his durability. He's played 13 games 2 years ago, 11 games last year. It's really just durability. That's really the main concern. If he don't play 6 games, I'll look like a fool, but show me it first. That's really all it is. Other than that, the Eagles have a stacked team.
They have a stacked team, and they have a very winnable schedule, which would lead to a quarterback putting up some decent numbers. I think the addition of Deshaun Jackson, although it's been underplayed, is going to be a huge deal because they're going to have that deep threat. And keep in mind, before Jameis Winston came back last year, Deshaun Jackson was putting up some crazy numbers with Fitzpatrick. And Fitzpatrick is nowhere near the caliber of quarterback as Wentz is. So I personally think that the Eagles are the best team in the NFC. I don't think
one of the Super Bowl favorites.
They'll win the NFC, but I think they're the best. I think statistically and record-wise, I think they're the best team in the NFC.
I'll save my argument for next week, for our next show, because I don't agree with that. But I think Wentz is a solid pick. I don't know who I'd take ahead of him. There's a few guys I would definitely take ahead of him.
Like I said, mine's just durability issues. If you told me Wentz is going to play 16 games, I'm all in.
All right, so a few sleepers popped into my head as we were talking about this. So I'm going to throw a couple names out, and then you guys can throw a couple names out. So Ryan Fitzpatrick is reportedly winning the Miami job, and he has managed to put together some amazing 2 to 3 month stretches of football, like with Tampa Bay.
It's not happening this year.
Is going to be so bad, Dan. Did you see their schedule?
I mean,
they could win 1 or 2 games on paper.
But how many 400-yard games did Fitzpatrick have last season?
Yeah, but
that was with a lot better weapons, though. Yeah,
that's why it's a sleeper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, good point.
If you draft Fitzpatrick, you are not winning your league.
I mean, he's a bench player to slot in. I mean, I'll probably go somewhere else for that bench spot. I'm just teasing.
I want to see Dan's roster in mid-August, and I want to see Fitzpatrick on his roster.
Hell, my entire bench is different between mid-August and mid-September. After the first 2 weeks, I've added a ton of guys. I'm like, that's how I win. I'm the fastest on the waiver wire to pick up those wide receivers no one's paying attention about yet. So.
That's part of the game. You got to be quick.
Okay, so you guys do snake draft. Who's your first round pick?
Well, it depends on who you keep.
Well, you know who you're keeping. Who do you want your top pick?
My first round's going to be – my top pick's Barkley because I drafted him in the first round last year.
No, sorry. No. Keepers aside. So you're keeping 2 running backs.
Yeah.
Are you going quarterback or wide receiver?
Oh, wide receiver. Unless somebody makes some really stupid decisions and there's another running back, I'll start 3 running backs.
Wait a second. But what if Mahomes is available for you in the 7th or 8th pick?
It's too early.
It's too early. I will tell you this right now.
It's too early.
I don't know where I'm picking, but if I'm picking before Phil, I'm picking Patrick Mahomes. I don't.
In the first round?
Yeah, in the first round. I don't really care, dude. I don't really care. And let the whole league know I'm picking Mahomes if he's still on the board. Wherever I pick, I haven't picked yet.
Well, you're going to be picking before me. I can guarantee that.
I know I will be because you won. You made that very clear to me. I am picking Mahomes.
I want to see the trophy before the season begins on our show here, if that's possible.
I'll bring it with me next week. It's up in the room.
But I mean, with keepers, all the running backs are going to be kept. So and the top wide receivers are going to be kept. So it's not out of the question to pick that quarterback that early.
There's actually, so I know we're probably running out of time quickly, but just the way that the keepers fall and you can't keep guys for more than 2 years, there's a lot of good wide receivers back in the pool this year. A lot.
And
Beckham is there, Hopkins is there, Brown is there.
And I'm keeping a tight end who I picked up as a free agent. So I'm going to get him in the 11th or 12th round, Phil?
Yeah.
So I'm going to keep Kittle. It's a steal.
It's interesting.
Get him in the 12th round. I mean, drafts have him going 3rd or 4th round right now.
So that's interesting that you drop him to the round that he slots into. That makes sense. Okay. Yeah, our keepers just go straight off the board, and then we start throwing money at other guys that probably shouldn't deserve it. Well, this has been a great fantasy show. We'll get our NFL predictions next week. Any final thoughts before we get cut off here for our time this week?
Looking forward to football being back on Saturday, right?
Thursday.
Woo!
This Thursday. Tomorrow.
Thanks for watching BuzzChomp.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Subscribe and share.
Share.
Woo!